Welcome to I Drink Your Podcast, where we drink and talk about movies from 2007.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker!
I don't remember seeing this movie.
What's your power? You don't got the power.
Keeps away the narwhals.
The only way to defeat a waffle is by making it a pancake.
This is one doodle that can't be undid, home skillet.
Now back to that ass.
Were you masturbating?
I drink your podcast. I drink it up.
Welcome back to another episode of I Drink Your Podcast. This week we watched the number 23, just 23 years later. Joining me this week is Ben, Emily, and Wes. No guest on the show today. How are you guys doing?
Oh, really excited.
God, I'm so excited, you guys. I'm already like super drunk or something or giggly. This movie sucked and I'm so excited to just destroy it. But
there is a weird energy in this meeting right now. So it's
my face is like super red and I'm super
Episode
excited.
23, the number 23, this was meant to be or very well planned by me.
It was very planned by you. I'm drinking a cherry bourbon smash, which has bourbon, lemon juice, some muddled maraschino cherries, and our famous soda that has 23 eclectic flavors, Dr. Pepper.
KFC.
Oh. Wait.
Guys, don't ruin my stuff. I have a feeling we all wrote down very similar things for a couple.
I heard you guys talking about it, so I specifically decided not to do any. And I'm just excited to hear what you guys have to do.
Well, then I also figured out if you count all the letters in cherry bourbon smash, it only adds up to 18. But I'm Emily and I have 5 letters in my name and I'm drinking it.
Shit.
So 5 plus 18 is 23.
23.
How long do you think this bit's going to be funny?
It's not at all.
Yeah.
I'm going to run it into the ground at some point. So
Really, Wesley, what are you drinking?
So I agree. This movie didn't make sense at all and it really sucked. But damned if that number 23 didn't come after me. So I decided to just put 23 different kinds of alcohol into one drink.
Oh,
Wow.
that's disgusting.
Well, that's a suicide for sure.
I'm not on brand today. I'm just drinking beer.
Gross.
Beautiful. I'm drinking coffee, so I'm even further off. Trying to be alert. I'm so tired. And this movie put me to sleep. I have no idea what happened in it. And this is the first movie where we just buried the lead and told everyone how much we hated it right off the bat, right?
I mean, we did it with Shoot 'em Up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only it was the opposite. We loved it. Well, I guess just to start us off and let's break the ice a little bit. Does anyone have any weird compulsions or obsessions just to try to theme with this movie?
I do. When I'm watching TV or listening to the radio, the volume has to be a multiple of 3.
What?
Or
I
I
forgot
start
that about
squirming. Yeah. This is legitimate. Like, if it's 22, like, I feel weird. I feel icky. But then it has to be 21 or 24. Like, don't even try to put it on a number that isn't a multiple of 3.
I remember
Okay, so-
messing with you a lot in college trying to
Yep, I don't like it.
just make it sneaky.
So I feel like really personally attacked right now that you picked the number 22 because the only number thing I have is I really like the number 22 because that's my birthday. But that's my only number thing. And of course you fucking picked 22 as your example.
It all connects.
I actually knew a few people throughout the course of my life that had something like that with volume. I knew somebody that it had to be even numbers or odd numbers. I don't remember. I think somebody like had to have multiples of 5. Like it had to be half or on the 10 spot. But it's weird. You're still weird. You just have company.
What a bunch of weirdos. What if your volume only went to 7? So you'd have to have it full blast or like not quiet at all?
Matt's really bad at math, isn't he?
A TV that only went to 7, that'd be weird to start with. But probably not the TV for Ben.
Yeah. I also have an anxiety thing where when I'm feeling really anxious and I see a phone number, I'll start adding all the numbers.
Oh my God.
Okay,
It's like
so
an anxiety thing.
that reminds me actually. So when I was swimming, I would add up every single set that we would do and how much time the intervals would take. And I would put it in my head and count all of that up together to figure out exactly to the dot when we would be done with practice. And it was something that would occupy my mind so that I could push through the pain of the set.
Nice. The most I ever got into that was just like, okay, so the other team's at 64 points. We're at 40 points. 64 minus 40. We need 24 points to be tied, which is normal. I feel like that's normal, kid.
It's normal. That's how sports work.
Yeah. So that's all I'm getting at. I should have done 23. I don't know why I didn't make the gap 23. I really missed an opportunity there.
As Wesley said, Matt is apparently really bad at math.
Oh, he got that one right, though.
True. Wes, do you have any weirdo compulsions or anything like that?
No, my favorite number is 5. And I still remember the day I decided that was my favorite number. It's because I took a quiz and one of the questions had 5 stars. And then I went home and I told my mom my favorite number is 5.
Oh, that's cute.
That's actually kind of a delightful answer. So if anything good.
Well, Wesley's just delightful. So
I figured get some of that in here before we discuss the rest of this movie.
Sure. I don't know. That was great. Okay, so if you guys haven't listened to the show before, the first half of the show, we will be discussing and reviewing the number 23. In the second half, we'll feature
The movie.
Yes, the movie. In the second half, we'll feature our Battle of Twits, a creative competition pitting us all against each other today. And our current leaderboard for the Battle of Twits is Ben with 6, the guest with 5, and me and Wes tied at 2 points.
How many times have you played, Matt?
Almost every time. This movie is the number 23, directed by Joel Schumacher, featuring Jim Carrey, Virginia Madsen, Logan Lerman, and the number 23. And doing a little bit of prep for this movie, I saw that this was the second time Jim and Joel had collabed.
Mm-hmm.
Batman Forever, banger. Yeah. So I'm glad to see this.
Speaking of Riddlers.
Glad to see they were able to put out another good one.
Suppose I'm buying that for you too.
Actually, I've had a good long time to flip through it. Why don't you give it a try?
The number 23, a heart-wrenching odyssey into paranoia, one of the most horrifying metamorphoses ever told.
I'm buying this for you.
Chapter 1. All I could think about was the number.
So Walter, played by Jim Carrey, is a normal animal control worker. That's a contradiction right there. With a normal wife, Agatha, played by Virginia Madsen, and a normal son, Robin. After Agatha discovers a seemingly normal-looking book, the number 23, by Topsy Kretz, LOL, she gives it to Walter for his birthday as a gag gift, probably. And he starts noticing strange similarities between himself and the main character, Detective Fingerling, LOL. All the names in this fucking movie are so fucking stupid.
I'm glad that you're not the only one, and I'm not the only one about Fingerling. I just was so uncomfortable.
Yeah, what is he, a fucking potato? Like, that's so stupid.
Every time Jim Carrey said the name Fingerling, I thought of that scene in The Office where he's talking about the Finger Lakes.
Yep.
Like I always heard it in that voice too.
I couldn't remember what it was from, but I had the same thought every time. I just hated the way Jim Carrey talked in this movie. I don't know what it was.
The narration or his character in
the narration specifically. It was
okay. I agree. It also bothered me. Why did it bother you, Wesley?
It just sounded fake. I guess I don't know. I'm not
creepy for creepy's sake.
Sure, I can go with that.
I was going to say, for me, he had like 2 narrations going on at the same time because there were kind of 2 plots going on at the same time. You know, you had this one piece where Walter is this normal guy that gets a book from his wife and he starts reading it and starting to figure out what's all these weird things that are similar between him and Detective Fingerling. But then he's also reading the book, but it's a first-person narrative.
Mm-hmm.
By Detective Fingerling, and he's like talking as Detective Fingerling, but also they use the same characters in both situations. And so when I was hearing the narration, I didn't hear any voice shift. It just sounded like Jim Carrey.
Yeah, there was no voice shift, but I did like that the way that they did it was they really stylized the scenes that took place in the book. Like if you were looking at the screen, you could tell the difference between what was happening in the real world and what was happening in the book world.
That's why I didn't understand this movie. I wasn't looking at the screen.
Oh.
Yeah,
so
I did like
actually,
that.
I liked that too. I was looking at specifically Jim Carrey's tattoos in, I guess, the other world, the book world. I really liked his tattoos. And for the first time ever, I was like, I'm weirdly attracted to Jim Carrey. This is strange.
Oh.
Boo.
I went hard the other direction.
His
that
hair.
first scene with his tattoo, and it's just sex scene out of nowhere. That sex scene was very uncomfortable for me. I did not enjoy that.
It was. I just meant like him and how he looked with his tattoo. I was like, I'm into you.
You know, he had hockey hair.
I was not looking at his hair. I was looking at his body, obviously.
I spent much of the beginning of this movie trying to figure out why Jim Carrey was the lead in this. Then 30 minutes in, I realized this movie's not about Michael Jordan. Dad joke. That's a sneak attack dad joke.
I can't even react.
Yeah, just insert your own laughter there. No, like a club audience.
Oh shit, okay.
So this whole movie, there's this build up of who is Detective Fingerling and how Walter thinks that it has an eerie connection to his life and that maybe it's a real thing. But I did like that they used the same actors for Fingerling and Walter, obviously, but also for Fabrizia and Agatha, which I didn't realize until I looked it up that, yes, they were the same actress. And then also the guy that later Jim Carrey's character kills, Flinch? Or no, goes to jail. I don't remember what happens in this movie.
Yeah.
But then
Honestly.
his wife's friend, the doctor, the professor guy, he's also the same person. So I did like those nuances to make it a little bit more confusing. I was engaged the whole time, but there were so many times I just rolled my eyes when Jim Carrey's character, Walter, keeps going, oh, and this thing is 23, and all of these things, and 9/11, and everything is 23. Yeah. I just rolled my eyes.
How many times did he get told to finish the book and then just blatantly ignored it and went on obsessing? The answer is 23.
I was going to say not 23 times, but sure, Wesley.
Yeah, I'd also like the audio design with like the number stuff. You know how it does that? Like, it was just like, do you know what I'm talking about? Like,
no.
Can you
give me a better example?
He needs to start like, there's like montaging, like where he starts seeing all the numbers and it's like people talking in the background with like the different audio design. Like, I was just over it very quickly. The whole number thing, like very over it very quickly. Also, like that book, like basically a serial killer confession for a birthday present. Like that's what a terrible gift. What a terrible marriage.
Yeah, and I was over the 23 thing right away too when the Suicide Blonde character in the story, her line is, pink is my favorite color. You know what pink is? Red 27, white 65. 65 plus 27 is 92. Pink has 4 colors. 92 divided by 4, 20 I was done at that point. Like, no, we're not.
You can't come back from that.
I can't handle this anymore.
Yeah.
Right. That for me was the point of no return where I'm like, nope, this could have been cool. I thought that the premise, because in real life, 23, a lot of people have a fascination with it. And so
I
do. Yay, Wesley, I can't wait. But there are like websites and weird blogs dedicated to the number 23. And so that was kind of what this movie was inspired by.
Yeah, they're all about Michael Jordan.
But anyway, that moment with the Suicide Blonde, I totally agree, Ben. I almost threw up. I was so disgusted that really we're making this kind of stretch and connection. Obviously, you can do that with any number.
There is so much that we've already talked about that just in the third act makes even less sense. And we're already mad about it. And I, too, was in the moment mad about it. So where this movie goes, and we'll cover it later, but spoiler alert, it gets worse.
Right.
Yeah, and they really took what I feel is 2 different thriller plots that they could have done. Like, you could have made one all about the obsession of the 23, or you could have done one about a person reading a book who identifies themselves as the character inside of it. Like that whole identifying yourself thing could have worked by itself within this movie, and this movie would have been probably pretty good. But the 23 thing just skews everything to like this absurd level of obsession. Like it just gets silly.
Yeah, like Ned.
Ned the dog?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did he reason that out again? I don't even remember.
Who cares? It's just numbers and in letters. It's just like 1,000 different ways he's doing it. And you're just like, yeah, we get it. We're not doing it anymore. Like the math could be wrong. I'm not going to fact check you.
Has Joel Schumacher made a really good movie?
Yeah, Batman Forever.
Come on.
Ice to meet you. No, that's the wrong one.
That's still Joel Schumacher, but that's not. Oh, Lost Boys. He made the Lost Boys.
Yeah, he also, I think he directed something like a television later on in life before he died.
The thing I remember him most for, besides the Batman movies, is that terrible Phantom of the Opera adaptation.
Oh, he did that?
Yeah, that was a mess.
Oh, that was a mess.
Yeah, he did two episodes of House of Cards. So I was like, oh, those are good. I mean, minus Kevin Spacey stuff.
That was the non-mathematical equivalent of 23.
Speaking of Joel Schumacher, I read an interview before we started recording about just the beginning of this movie and just how they got it started. And it was between Joel Schumacher, Jim Carrey, and Virginia Madsen. All three of them, as they were kind of walking through this interview, were expressing how they truly believe in this weird phenomena of around 23. And that, to me, I just couldn't handle it. I was like, really? Really? You really thought that?
Knowing Jim Carrey's method acting, like what he did with Man on the Moon, it kind of makes sense that he would buy into it as an actor to make sure that he can get into that wacko headspace that tries to make this movie make sense.
Well, also, what we've seen from Jim Carrey in the last 5 or 6 years with his extremely political takes in his art now, like, he's got that conspiracy theorist type brain where you could totally see him getting wrapped up into something like this that's just off the wall and crazy.
Oh, definitely. You know, he was talking about how his company, JC23, he's like, yeah, 23 has always like resonated with me. And it was always really important to me with like my spirituality and Psalm 23 and all these different things. And then Joel Schumacher starts coming in and he's like, yeah, this is my 23rd film I've directed. Whoa. And then Virginia and the other main-ish character, Danny something or other, he plays the doctor, professor guy. They were married, and then Virginia's like, 23 years ago, you know? And I'm like, oh my God, This is so dumb. And then they were talking about during the actual filming of everything, someone's son was on set and was like adding letters together and adding names together and was like, Jim Carrey and Virginia both have, if you add their letters together, it's 23. And Schumacher and Carrey, if you add their names together, it's 23. Like, whoa, this is amazing. And they talked about it for minutes upon minutes.
And Joel Schumacher and Jim Carrey made the 23rd best Batman property.
Ayo.
Good one.
Speaking of Schumacher, though, how did you not mention Phone Booth? The best.
Yeah, I do like Phone Booth. Yeah.
You done wrecked my dick hand.
I'm gonna be honest, I do not know any of these
remember
movies.
that line.
It's the only thing I remember from that movie other than there being a phone booth.
Also, any strange like Ace Ventura dog catcher feelings pop up for anyone, or is it just me?
I didn't even realize that.
No. Oh, that's good.
So apparently that was in on purpose to pay homage to Ace Ventura. When I was reading through this interview, I thought it was like this is a clever little thing that only I noticed. Nope, that was planned.
That's the first thing in this movie that makes sense. Because I was just saying, like, I don't even understand why he has a job at all in this movie. There's no need for that in the plot.
Right.
Wow. Just imagine having like a psychological thriller and then just throwing it to the wind, just being like, okay, I want to pay homage to this 1994 comedy. You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing?
It's the number. I'm seeing it everywhere.
Well, a conspiracy buffs would say, of course. After all, the world spins on an axis of 23 degrees. When you told them it's actually 23.5, they say 5 is simply 2 plus 3. 23 is very good at this particular game.
Game?
Yeah. Paranoia.
As the strange similarities between Fingerling and Walters grow, Walter starts to mirror the obsession of 23 from the book. He explains to Agatha and Robin all about the weird coincidence around 23, and Agatha becomes worried. She refers Walter to her professor friend, although this adds to his suspicion about literally everything, and he starts dreaming of killing his wife. A dog leads him to Laura Tolan's grave, who Walter believes is the murdered woman from the book, and he actually thinks the killer's out there.
During this movie, as Walter was encountering all these coincidences with the number 23, I started thinking about the connection between Wesley and the number 23. And there's quite a few.
Yes, I dropped a bomb with a couple of these in our group chat when I was watching it, and Ben said he had a list too.
I have a list.
I'm very excited to hear yours, Ben.
Some I believe are true and some might be assumptions, but we'll run with that.
Mine are the same. Some are assumptions.
The name Wesley starts with W. That's the 23rd letter of the alphabet.
That's one of mine.
Add up all the letters of Wesley and you get 69. Divide that by the 3 letters in Wes, 23. He was born on the 23rd of his birth month at 11:23 p.m., which in military time is 23:23.
Wrong on the time.
9/11/2001 was a really memorable day for Wesley. He ate 23 Oreos.
Wow. That one I know is true.
Yeah, 9 plus 11 plus 2 plus 1, 23. At the age of 23, he got Crohn's. Add up all the middle letters and subtract the first and last letters, 23. He's had between 2 and 3 sexual partners. In conclusion, Wesley has murdered and will murder again.
Couple ones you missed. I am allergic to red dye number 40, which is referenced in the movie as red number 5 is the color that she paints on the wall. I don't remember the math they did with that, but it was red 5, which he somehow turned into 23. My zip code, if you break it apart, 7 plus 3 plus 3 plus 5 plus 5 equals 23. I have drank Dr. Pepper, which has 23 flavors. I had KFC when I was 21. 21 reversed is 12. KFC has 11 herbs and spices, 23.
No.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's real, guys.
Wow.
It's real.
Can I take a crack at it, guys?
Yeah.
Okay, so my social security number is 556. Just kidding.
You know what really pisses me off even more throughout this movie is that he almost runs over the dog. Like, he gets so worked up with this dog that bit him and that led him to Laura Tolan's grave, and he somehow, through the number 23, puts it together that she's actually Fabrizia in the book, and he's like, oh, the killer's still out there.
Yeah, there were a lot of leaps that he just had to make in order to get to any sort of connection between Laura Tollins and the number 23.
That scene where he chases the dog really bothered me because none of the time doesn't add up. He sees the dog tears off, and then all of a sudden Jim Carrey is behind him in the graveyard. I was like, this movie's completely unbelievable. That's when I bowed out.
His obsession with the dog mirrored his growing worry about himself hurting people around him. Like, the more he worried about hurting the people around him and started getting sucked in, he started having those dreams about killing his wife, Agatha. As the movie progresses, he becomes more and more violent towards the dog. That's really...
I guess that's true.
It's just rabies.
Speaking of his dreams, I actually really, really liked that aspect of the movie. There weren't a lot of things that I was like, oh, I'm so in, but that kind of pulled me back in, where he starts having these fantasy dreams of him killing his wife. But not only that, but he's seeing the shadows of him with the knife. And I really liked it. And when he actually kills her in that one brief moment, I was so fucking excited. I was so excited that he had actually killed her. And then he wakes up and I was like, nope, no, I can't watch this movie anymore. That was so fucking stupid. Why is this happening? You know, I wanted him to deal with the consequences of what happened and then see what happened after that, you know?
But spoiler alert, he's living it already.
Yeah.
But you're not going to see that twist coming. When he goes to that hotel too, like the two people that are working at the desk visibly recognize him, and you don't think so?
I don't think they did.
They absolutely do.
Oh yeah, he asked for the room 23 and they said that there's something wrong with it. Like they wouldn't let him in. Like they gave him a look.
No, because when he was there the first time, the weird old guy that's sitting on the chair in the front, because I went back and looked, don't judge me. There's this old guy that looks like he might be, I don't know, blind or something's wrong with him, but he was the guy originally that gave him the first key. And remember, this is like 11 years ago or something. I can't remember the exact timeline because who cares?
23.
But he's not behind the counter anymore. It's someone else. And so this guy that was originally behind the counter is just kind of sitting there and blankly staring and not noticing anything going on around him. So, gotcha.
Well, I thought that they did notice something, which I thought was weird. And then when we realized why, it made me even more angry that they didn't recognize him even more.
Now, had Agatha read this book before?
I have so many questions about that.
Because she was in the bookstore and she is looking at the book.
She has a transcript hidden.
No, she finds the transcript, right?
Yeah.
What? Yeah, she finds the transcript.
But she showed it to him.
I think yeah.
That was in the bookstore though, right?
No, there's like a trunk with all of his history of stuff before.
Oh, at the psychiatric hospital.
Yeah, she doesn't find that until later. In the third act.
So it was a complete accident that she provided his own book back to him.
Yes.
That's my problem with that's what I was trying to get at. Yeah. Like how and why did she choose this book, this unregistered book at the bookstore to give to him?
Because it caught her eye because he didn't go shag the operator lady and at the party and he had to chase that dog and then he was late. So she saw the book through the window. That's why. I don't know if that's better or worse, honestly. Because like the way I interpreted it was that she knew all that stuff. She knew it was his prior to that. And then I was very frustrated trying to figure out like, why would she do this? Why would she keep telling him to finish the book? Why did she do a lot of things? So I guess her not knowing makes a little more sense, but it also makes less sense because that is another just huge leap of faith that you have to take just to justify any of the goings on in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one line, I'm pretty sure it's in the third act, but we're kind of talking about it a lot, where he's with his son and his son starts to contradict some of Jim Carrey's ramblings. And Jim Carrey says something like, sounds like a lot of ifs. It's like, fuck you, dude. Like, your whole life is ifs right now. And you're going to tell your son, who for some reason believes you on every single one of these, that how dare you be suspicious of the things that I'm bullshitting?
Mm-hmm.
That
right.
Took me right out of it.
Right. I actually liked his...
Is that the part where you quit?
I quit way before that. Once there was no Michael Jordan, I was out.
I actually really liked his son character in it. That his son was like, I really want to believe my dad and help him figure this shit out. This is a cool puzzle. But then it got a little bit weird later on.
Was Robin an homage to Batman and Robin that he had done with Joel Schumacher?
Oh,
that probably is a true statement. Yes,
Jesus
Wesley. This fucking movie.
Yeah, I wrote down in size 42 font convoluted. Because that's about it.
Check this out. Walter Sparrow doesn't work. But if I use my middle name...
Walter.
51197. Isn't that amazing?
What?
It's all 23. My birthday, 2-3. Driver's license, social security number, everything. I was born at 11:12 p.m. 11 plus 12. It's like it's imitating my life.
You can't be serious.
The author knows so much about me. It's as if he chose me.
Walter and Robin go to a park after finding a clue from a book to dig up the 23rd step. They find a skeleton they assume to be Laura Tollins and call the police. When they come back, the skeleton is gone. Ooh, spooky. This is because Agatha is trying to protect Walter, and since she discovered on her own adventure that he is Topsy Kretz. Gasp. He turns himself that's so funny. He turns himself over into the police, and everyone doesn't live happily ever after. He turns himself into the police is my favorite.
I totally missed the timeline of when does Agatha know it's Walter?
Yeah, I think we need Matt to explain the ending to us.
She knew the entire time. No, she knew 23 minutes earlier in the runtime. So she didn't know the whole time, but she knew for the last 23 minutes. Okay, so this movie obviously doesn't make any sense. So if you're trying to get me to explain the ending of the movie, let's just say Jim Carrey's like, I love my son, so I'm not going to kill myself in front of him. But now I'm going to be a good guy, Jim Carrey, and turn myself in to go to prison and get this guy off the hook. And then he looks at a clock and then he gets mad.
Confused about.
No, that's a very straightforward part of the movie, Matt. Can you actually explain to us the twists?
The twists, right? The book stuff is very confusing. I'd need a diagram to even get started. So yeah, I would love to hear your theories because
so from my understanding of the movie, after the guy that Walter thinks is the killer slits his own throat.
Yes.
The wife goes to a psychiatrist building, like an old psychiatry hospital.
Yeah, it's like closed down or something.
Yep. And finds the room that Walter stayed in after he got his amnesia, which we haven't even talked about the amnesia part of that yet, which we'll get to. So Walter gets amnesia and gets sent to a psychiatric hospital. There is where we find all of the little tidbits about Walter that are in the book as fingerling, like the saxophone, the writings on the wall, all that
the
stuff.
Saxophone.
So at that point, Agatha knows that Walter is fingerling from the book. This is at the same time that Walter is taking his son to the park to climb down the 23 steps to dig up a body. Laura Tollins' body, it turns out to be. Agatha goes to that park and steals the body out of the grave because she now knows that that's who Jim Carrey's character killed. So she's trying to protect him.
I mean, go her, way to be supportive.
Yeah. And her and her doctor buddy then try to get Jim Carrey to remember everything that happened to him and everything that he forgot because of his amnesia.
And never once did either of them think, oh, that's weird that this book that we've read was actually you, or that you were right, or the fact that he's a murderer. The guy who slit his throat was one of the psychiatrists at the hospital.
Yep.
But what information what did Agatha get that actually led her to that psychiatry?
It was his badge, wasn't it? He was wearing a psychology. No,
he was wearing a badge. And the reason that he slit his throat, because after Jim Carrey left, the guy read the manuscript that was Jim Carrey's suicide note that turned into the book and became obsessed with the number 23. That psychiatry doctor did. So when Jim Carrey showed up, he thought he was coming after him to hurt him. So he killed himself is my understanding.
Let me take care of this for you, sir. So how did and so the person that went to jail for killing.
So Jim Carrey was dating Laura Tollins. Laura Tollins cheated on him with her professor, which is the guy that got sent to jail for killing her.
And the professor, do we have to make another logical leap that the professor knew nothing about Jim Carrey? Didn't know who that was?
Right.
Because then he goes to jail, which can you just go to jail and talk to convicted murderers?
And he
picks up the murder weapon. And therefore is oh, I guess he's the murderer, even though we know that probably would not have happened. Maybe, I don't know. That was another leap for me.
That's a leap I can accept, though, that he doesn't know who Jim Carrey is.
Yeah, I can accept that.
Yeah.
But of all the stupid details in this movie, I think the stupidest detail in this entire movie, and feel free to disagree, is that he names the author Topsy Kretz. And that I didn't pick up on Top Secrets until someone fucking said it. And I
You
felt
didn't pick
so
up on that?
stupid. Yes.
I didn't either.
That's more upsetting than the fact that they tried to think that was clever. Like that you couldn't pick up on that.
I don't know.
Well,
I think this
fuck you
movie
too, Ben.
just beats you over the head until you stop thinking, and where you're just like, I don't care. I don't care. Top Secrets. How many minutes are left? Like,
Yeah, see, that's the thing is this whole movie was a numbers game, not a words game.
Yes, exactly.
See, my stupidest detail is when they circled the 23rd word of every 23rd page of the book.
Oh
So
my
arbitrary.
God.
That's where it lost me.
again.
Really? That was like the end of the movie.
That's where it lost you for the
They had me
23rd
on the
time.
hook for a long time in this movie.
You were like, this is stupid, but I'm holding out for it.
Well, midway through the second act, I had already guessed the ending to you, Emily.
That's
as
true.
we were
You did
texting.
text me.
So I'm not even going to say biggest because there's just obviously too many of them, but like her maiden name was Pink.
Yeah.
And that's referenced to be part of it with the Suicide Blonde. But Agatha was never even in his life at that point. So is that just supposed to be another coincidence that we're supposed to be like, oh,
yes,
what a coinky dink?
Well, if you had an obsession with 23, could we argue that maybe that obsession carried through the amnesia, unbeknownst to him? Like maybe like subconsciously he was gravitating towards the number 23 as a result of that obsession?
So you're saying him randomly bumping in. So the first person, literally the first person he sees after leaving the psychiatric hospital is named Pink. And you're claiming that that's his subconscious.
Well, no, not that he ran into her, but that he latched onto her. I mean, you've been with 2 to 3 people, Wesley, so you understand that. Like,
You flatter me, sir. You flatter me.
I have one more stupidest detail of this entire movie, and I'll talk about it later. But reverse 23? Reverse 23.
Yeah.
Yeah, reverse 11.
Wow.
Why, with all this obsession movies, do we see people constantly writing on walls and on their bodies? Like, it seems like anytime someone has an obsession, you see them writing everywhere and not just sticking like to paper.
Paper ain't free.
Wow.
Walls are.
So true. I feel like it's just an easy visual for a camera. You know, you can
It's a
fill
lazy visual.
Exactly. You can fill the frame with just bullshit, and it'll overwhelm your analytical mind just with all the math.
Right, but one place where I think it really works is in Gulliver's Travels with Ted Danson, because they throw him in a cell and he's trying to like tell his story of what happened to him to prove he's not crazy. And so he literally writes on the wall everything that happened to him so he doesn't forget. So it does work sometimes.
I mean, there are examples of other places like The Shining when he writes all over the
Never
wall.
seen it.
All work and no play make Jack a dull boy. Like that shows how far like off the rails he's gone psychologically. So it makes sense there. But here it just felt like, I don't know, it felt like he was trying to do like a Memento thing almost with all the writing on the body. But it just didn't work for me.
No, not at all. When's the last time you guys have seen a movie or television show where amnesia worked, like as a plot device? I can't even think of one time.
I don't think I've seen enough movies and TV to answer this question. So
Sure.
I'm not going to answer it.
I mean, probably, are we counting amnesia as like Memento?
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Because I'd say it worked in Memento.
Sure.
I've got the perfect answer. I don't remember.
Okay.
Nice.
Wesley, do you have any observations or a color report for us?
These are just a few of our incredible thoughts.
A lot of my observations we discussed already, but it is sad how many times I've opened up IMDb and checked the year that the movie was released that we're watching for this podcast. Not necessarily specifically about this movie, but something I noticed right away. I'm like, oh, what year did this come out? You idiot, 2007. Agatha saying to Walter, we go to hang out with my friends on your birthday because you don't have any friends. Pretty funny birthday joke, Aggie.
I laughed.
And so he's going to get paranoid about a story he's reading about paranoia. Got it.
Well, I have a microphone and you don't.
So you will listen to every damn word I have to say!
I am going to rant about how math works. Because this movie just decided to ignore any sort of semblance of patterns, any sort of anything that related to how numbers actually work. And me as a math teacher, this bothered me so much. I would like to point out that my first day of school for this year, literally, I gave my students a job of coming up with the numbers 1 through 20 using 4 fours in any operation. And they could do it. They could literally add, subtract, multiply, divide, use exponents, whatever. And they used only 4 fours to make numbers 1 through 20. So now if you give any random date and let's just ignore any rules of math, any sort of theorems, get rid of any properties, you can just do whatever you want with any number. And not only that, with letters and assign them numbers. Sure, yeah, let's do that. I'm sorry, but again, reverse 23, that is fucking 32. It's not 20 plus 3. It is literally 30 plus 2, which is completely different. They cannot be any more related. And you can make any date matter or work out to however you want if you're just going to fucking split up digits to add and subtract or divide or whatever. And then also people reused numbers countless times over and over again. They're like, oh, let's take this number that I already used. There were no rules. So that's not how math works. This movie is dumb. I fucking think my brain is broken because of the math in this movie. Also, I would just like to point out that this movie made money.
Nice.
There's a rabid fan base for this movie. Matt shared a video with us earlier of people defending this movie and how much they love it. And I don't know if it's just like the number 23 sycophants, the ones that like believe that this is an actual like conspiracy, like numerologists who just get wrapped into the number 23, or if it's just people who have terrible taste in movies. But there is a group of people that like this movie.
Yeah. I mean, it has an 8% on Rotten Tomatoes, which I think is a real missed opportunity for 23%. But I mean, the comments in that video do not reflect 8% rotten, because each comment is like, I like this movie. It's like, what movie were you watching, you fucking idiot?
I'd give this movie 23 out of 10.
Yeah.
Shit like that.
So good. I just love that there's this rabid fandom for this fucking movie. Kind of adds to like how crazy and the twists and turns in the movie.
It came out on February 23rd.
What a coincidence.
Did you hear my eye roll?
Since we have no guest this week, this spooky week we will all be haunted twits and one by one be murder eliminated from the game. Round 1 will be a fight to survive, and we will all vote for who has the worst answer. That pathetic chump will become the judge for round boo.
No.
Love it.
The ghoulish loser will join the pathetic chump and crown a skeleton king after the final 2 Frankenvivers answer the final round. Wes, am I ready? Yes. Okay, let's do this.
All right.
So question 1.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Is to pitch a movie that inspires the next big costume for Halloween.
I would like to add before Wesley goes, just to give him a breather. We hated this movie so much we couldn't come up with any questions. So we're going to stick to a Halloween feel because this is supposed to be a thriller and horror kind of genre. So Halloween!
And Halloween's in 2 weeks.
Wesley, pitch your movie, please.
In a world where reboots are the only form of new movies and original ideas are taboo, there is only one genre in the future. Animated murder rom-com docu-mini-series behind the scenes of making the movie. In my movie, our pro-antagonist is portrayed by every woe man's androgynous, spooky, and sexy David Bowie's ghost. DBG, David Bowie's ghost, will have to reconnect. Will have to reconnect with his long-lost friend, who is also the love of his life that got away when he accidentally, or was it, run over by a double-decker bus while trying to get to the big show that David Bowie was going to confess his love. This documentary follows the now animated DBG on the road as he follows clues to his love, complete with lots of flashbacks, informational asides, and of course, an interview room where we learn just who came up with the bass line from Under Pressure. Not only will people want to dress up as DBG because he can represent anyone's internal drives, but it will literally be the only movie because it covers everything. Throughout the movie, Bowie dons every iconic wardrobe from his career and provides endless mixing and matching options for however people want to present themselves on the spooky candy day.
So do you have like one iconic costume in mind?
Yeah, Labyrinth for sure. I feel like that's a base for everything. And then you can kind of Ziggy Stardust it up a little bit or, you know.
I don't like the idea of kids wearing that costume, Wesley.
You know what, Matt? You can just shut up because if I was a kid, I totally would have dressed up as David Bowie if I would have been cooler back then. I mean, now that I have a shorter hair, that was actually my idea for this year. So
nice. I'm
up next, huh?
Yeah.
All right. I went a completely different route than Wesley.
If anybody went the same route as me, you're a psychopath.
And it gets a little disturbing because my mind is a chaotic, anxiety-riddled mess. So here we go. What if the worst happened after the election this year? Imagine, if you will, everything that possibly could go wrong in the next 100 years does. U.S. Civil War Part 2, the Race War. During the war, the conservative government would completely privatize healthcare systems and the public education, which would save taxpayer money in order to fund private security corporations to beef up the police and weapons to protect those fighting in the war. The corrupt government would suspend habeas corpus during the civil unrest to easily lock up those causing all the issues and continue to cut programs beneficial to marginalized communities. Eventually, the racist white cis man would prevail, and those unwilling to back down would be stuck in poverty, unable to fight back anymore. So that's all my precursor stuff. Ready? This is going to be so exciting.
I have no idea where this is. Yeah.
My movie would start 100 years after the war with a meager crew of outcasts trying to find the motivation to restart the fight. These individuals would all be young, as the government would by now find a way to use viral warfare and lack of health care to decrease lifespans of those in poverty to 40 years old. A diverse team and their allies worked together to infiltrate the evil government through espionage. One of the team members, a non-binary individual, Jamie, would be the team's expert in weaponry. Jamie's charming charisma, mysterious nature, and general badassery would inspire the next biggest Halloween costume. And also because sci-fi and cyberpunk are really in right now. With the advanced technology of this universe, Jamie would always wear a silver experimental breathing apparatus to attempt to fight back against the viral diseases in the air. Jamie would also wear all black, clingy pants and a tight double-breasted leather jacket with the exception of a bright red hood with black concentric circles. Their favorite weapons? 2 small, modded out handguns, which would be hidden in their jacket. So Jamie's costume would be easily accessible to all as they are non-binary. Their outfit would be easily made or found through resources at a thrift shop. And a mask could be worn because of the breathing apparatus. So take that, COVID.
Wow.
Not voting against Emily.
I mean, we already decided Ben's out, so...
Oh,
I'm just kidding. No, I mean, that was really good. Matt, I believe you are up next.
My movie would be 10 crewmates are traveling through space, except 2 of them are imposters who try to sabotage and murder the rest of their crew as they do their tasks. They all wear different color spacesuits with the same visor that covers their face. So with no body language or facial expression, who can you tell is telling the truth and who is lying? Okay. So the crew is immediately informed that there are 2 imposters among them. Wow. And as they travel through space, 2 are murdered in a double kill. Yeah. Okay,
you
so
can't step on any copyright infringement.
No. And the crew deliberates who it might be, and they decide to cast Red into the airlock. But he was actually innocent, so they're now 2 imposters versus 5. This time, okay, so Purple kills. He's an imposter. He kills right in front of Blue, and it's a he said, she said, and they cast the imposter out. Listen, you guys understand where I'm going here. So my movie ends with one man must choose between the crew member telling the truth and the imposter, and he kills the crew member, and the imposter kills the last guy. My movie is titled Amidst Us. And the costume is a basic spaceman outfit that can be any color with a backpack the same color and a silver bubble shield visor that hides all their facial expression.
Okay, I have two things real quick if you're done. I'm pretty sure every number you said in your description added up to 23, and I'm not joking.
You have a sickness.
The second thing is I love that Matt is still just reusing something that already exists.
Whoa, what are you talking about, bro? What are you talking about?
All right. So I honestly was considering using like Mass Effect and so, like creating a movie out of it because it'd be really fucking cool. But I'm like, I don't want to pull a Matt, and here's fucking Matt pulling shit from a
tell me
video
that wouldn't
game.
be a good movie.
I think it's more probable than mine, like to actually happen.
Yeah.
But anyway, we still got one answer to go.
Probably a better
And
video game.
Ben has already prepared us for this, so I'm very excited.
People love dressing up as animals for Halloween and casually, what with all those cat ears and tails. Hell, there's an entire hit musical about people prancing around in cat costumes, singing about being jellicle, which I think means having feline AIDS. But why are cats the only ones that get the musical and costume treatment? Most cats have exactly the same personality anyways. So my movie musical will be built around an animal that is diverse in personalities. Sloths, the musical. But nobody wants another musical about a group of bohemians living in a large city dealing with their AIDS, which is Cats on Rent, by the way. Sloths the Musical will feature an entire collection of original songs written by Bjork in 17/8 time signature.
I'm out.
This odd time signature will help capture the feeling of being a sloth and the way the world speeds around them. Sloths all want to go fast, but they just can't. But through magic, one sloth, for one day, can be imbued with the ability to go super sloth speed. But who should get to? The only way to decide is with a talent show. So who can make the best case? Well, obviously, it will be Mr. Mislothales. And everyone will want to be him for Halloween for many years to come. Throw on a hooded, gray footy pajamas, some gloves with only 2 fingers, and a sloth mask or makeup, and you have the base for your costume. Then throw on a top hat and sparkly jacket on yourself, and you are good to go. You will be the talk of the evening, except literally everyone will also be wearing the same costume because it's that fucking good.
So super sloth speed?
Yeah. Human speed. It's just normal speed.
No, super sloth speed definitely means slow.
No.
Oh my god.
No, I was picturing Zootopia, how he zooms around, and I get
Super
it.
sloth speed is just normal human speed.
Love it. So everyone's costume again. Mine's a spaceman. Yours is Mr. Slothales.
Wow.
Emily, what's your costume again?
Jamie, the weaponry badass that looks like cyberpunky.
With the guns. Wesley.
David Bowie.
David Bowie's
right,
ghost.
That's right.
DBG.
I have my vote ready to go in chat, so just let me know.
Oh, that's a good way to do it. Let's all type it and we'll hit 1, 2, 3, go.
Okay, perfect.
And we're just voting for the worst one.
Yep.
Yes.
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
Ready, set, vote. Okay, well, Matt fell on his own sword and voted for himself, making it Matt have 3 votes. So Matt is out.
I stand behind that would be a decent movie, but the laziness works against you when you reuse an idea.
I'm going to be honest. I almost voted for you, Wesley, because
I almost voted for me too.
As much as I love David Bowie, I was like, well, you just reused his costumes. I already dress up like David Bowie sometimes.
That's fair. I really didn't know who to vote for. I panic wrote Ben just because I thought we all might have had a plan to get Ben out right away.
So I'm in charge of this rodeo now as the lovable loser. Here are your choices for question 2. James Bond, Hannibal Lecter, Princess Leia, Miranda Priestley from Devil Wears Prada, Indiana Jones, or Daniel Plainview. Who do you choose?
James Bond.
Perfect. Wes, who do you choose?
Princess Leia, of course.
And Ben?
I choose Miranda.
All right.
I love
So-
Wesley's chuckle.
We have our characters. So for question number 2, we're going to be designing a haunted house for your character. Design a room or rooms of a haunted house to scare the shit out of your movie character. And let's go in the order we started. Emily, are you ready?
I'm so ready. I'm just going to fucking make it up.
Let's go. Give me James Bond's haunted house.
All right. So James Bond's biggest fear is his crippling doubt about himself on how many women have died because he hasn't been able to save them. So it's going to be an homage to all of the women that he's had a connection with, whether sexually or not, but basically how every woman has died. So specifically, each room in the haunted house is going to have the woman and her reenacting her death. So it's not just her dead, she's actually reenacting the death of it. And so some of them will be animatronics, like Disney World. And some will be real women actors reaching out to him as they get shot in the head, because that's the most common in having the blood trickle down. Or when the woman that was drowned in oil, you know, just her suffering through that and him being forced to watch this as he's trying to escape his never-ending horror of all these women that he's disappointed dying around him. There'll be a lot of begging, a lot of crying, and that's all from James Bond. A lot of crying and begging just for this to end, this never-ending horror of these ghosts haunting his chosen profession.
It's just
all the while these loud explosions and gunshots are happening around him.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of mist, lots of dark lights effects. I like to imagine this as the Mrs. Weasley effect when she's in book 5, also one of our movies, when she's trying to defeat the Boggart. James Bond can never escape the death of all of these women that he's fucked. The end.
I'm sorry that your horror room description was undercut by Ben constantly putting one finger through a hole with his other hand.
It's okay. I've never been in a haunted house before, so I
Okay.
have no idea what they look like.
Dark. They're very dark.
Yeah,
I think you nailed it. Honestly.
Thanks. And then also I have seen, I think, 2 James Bond movies. So
Beautiful. I mean,
So good use of your first choice.
very good use.
he was not. I just thought it would be fun to try something.
Okay, so let me rein this in as the judge. I have some things and some questions. First of all,
I feel like Emily's out already.
I just want to point out Ben's heckle, his silent heckle, is like the perfect silent heckle in any situation.
I will agree with that.
So I didn't realize it until you did that, but kudos. Emily, I have some questions about your house. How many rooms
Sure.
is it? Do we know? Is it like
As
22-ish?
many women that have died in James Bond movies. Like
So
I
they're
said.
on the 25th movie, aren't they?
Right. So about 25 rooms.
Sure, it's a mansion.
About 23.
And from each room, you said there's some gunshots and danger.
Oh yeah,
happening around?
just sound effects. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Any music?
Obviously, there's like the theme song happening as he's like going through.
Okay.
See, I really picture more of like the haunted elevator ride, like in the SNL sketch with David Pumpkins. Like he goes to a different floor where a different woman gets killed on every floor.
Wow.
Odd Job as the elevator assistant.
Yeah, odd job. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Well, Emily, I just want to say, for having seen only 2 Bond films, you nailed it. Okay.
Thanks. Seened. I've seened.
Yeah, I'm getting turned on my coffee. All right. So Wesley, you had Princess Leia. I would love to hear her haunted house whenever you're ready.
You're damn right you would. So, Princess Leia would start off in Jabba's palace, chained and scantily clad, where all of the aliens are CGI and make wacky noises. When she breaks free by choking Jabba the Hutt and shoots Boba Fett, she only escapes into the bridge of Darth Vader's Devastator, where a loop of Alderaan exploding plays on the window in the front. As she runs to escape through the back hatch, it turns out to only be the floor where Han Solo lays dead on the ground from a lightsaber strike. from Kylo Ren. After finally pulling herself away from her lover's dead body, she finds a locked door that she cannot open. But through the window, she can see the Ewok village burning and Ewoks on fire falling from the trees. For the listeners, there was a lot of visual gags.
Yeah, I'm glad. That was very good, Wes. That was a great presentation.
Thank you.
I'll open it up to our other panelists before I take over and do judge. Anybody? No?
Wait, is this like an interactive haunted house where she's actually chained up?
In the first room. I imagine it more like an escape room.
Oh,
where she's got to kind of like figure out her way through it because she's got to escape the haunted house. And it starts out, where she actually has to do something. And the rest of it is more just, hey, here, it's like what show was that where they do like, here's your life.
This is your life?
Is that what it was called?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like that, but all the worst parts of her life.
Interesting. Wow. Let me just paint a little picture and then I'm going to ask you questions. So I'm picturing like this would be like a haunted hayride where you're out and in like a rural area where they have like a barn where they could set up the animatronic escape room for Princess Leia. Now, my first question is, do they put her in the outfit?
I specifically said she's scantily clad and chained up.
Good.
So if it was like not a woman, they would also wear the same outfit, right?
No, this is just Princess Leia.
So how do they get her into the outfit?
Oh, that's true.
What do you mean? How do they get her into the...
Like, is she willingly dressing in the scantily clad outfit, or are they like drugging her and then chaining her up?
I don't know how they did it in the movie, but that way.
That sounds like she would... That's interesting. I was just picturing if anyone else ever did this haunted house, I was picturing like anyone.
Oh, I totally did not go with that aspect.
Yeah.
No, I know. I'm just asking as a joke.
Yeah, I did like your story aspect, but I want to know how it kind of, can you tie it into the haunted house aspect? Like Princess Leia is like, I want to get scared. And then like, how does this adventure start?
So you want to know, you want the aspect of her putting herself in this situation.
Kind of, yeah. So she's like, oh, escape room. And then it's like, it's part of the experience to be drugged. And then she's like, oh no, this is so scary.
I mean, she has to watch her home planet explode.
Mm-hmm.
She's essentially a slave.
Right.
And then she finds her lover dead from her son killing him. Mm-hmm. And then has to watch all of her pets burning and falling from the trees.
Wow,
I think that's really a pretty good haunted house.
Really reducing Ewoks, but I'm loving it. Okay, so Ben, clearly typing away furiously. Give us Miranda Priestley's haunted house.
Yeah, so her haunted house would be a brightly and harshly lit runway with 3 rows of seats around the end of a catwalk. And in those seats around her would be people attempting to be really nice to her, but who like don't really have anything to gain from her. So she's all worried that like everyone around her is going to try to kill her with kindness, which is like her biggest fear, is people being too nice to her. So then the haunted house employees like do a runway show and they all strut their stuff down the runway, but it's all in last year's fashion. Ew. And this would make Miranda throw up because she's so, like I hate that fashion. Like that was so 2019, so 2000 late. And then at the end, the last runway model will come down the runway, but that runway model will have a knife to her daughter's throat. Because the best haunted houses incorporate someone who's a friend of the person trying to be scared, and the daughter's in on it. But Miranda doesn't know that, so she's like, oh my God, this person in last year's fashion is going to kill my daughter. And the woman's like, you gotta say something nice about my outfit or I'm going to kill your daughter. And Miranda's like, I can't do it. It's so bad. It's so 2000 late. And then... But then she finally like does, but then passes out right after because she can't believe that she said something nice about it.
Well, I think you got Matt's vote. So.
That's good. Does anyone have any questions?
No.
Oh wow,
that was pretty perfect.
All right. How many employees work at this haunted house, man?
No, it's like 10. It was 10? Easy to recruit them because they're all
23.
former employees of Miranda.
Right. Wow. I have a decision, huh? So I want to do like a little, what's the baking show? I don't know. Like most reality TV shows, they tell the person who's safe first. So I'm just going to incorporate who is safe, and then I will tell you who is voted off. So out of your 3 pitches, oh my gosh, I really loved Emily's pitch. You are safe. Great job. Each individual Bond woman dying in each room. Very clear, concise idea, and the horrors. So good. Right. So I'm picturing Wesley and Ben holding hands right now. It's just waiting to be told who is voted off. So the person I am voting off, and is very close, by the way, is Ben. I'm sorry. You have to go.
Okay.
Wow.
I loved your idea, but I hate you and where you stand in the competition. So therefore, you are voted off.
I can accept that.
Who says I couldn't be a good judge?
Okay, so for this last question, we have an opponent's choice question. So, Wesley, I need you to give Emily a Halloween candy.
So your candy is candy corn pumpkins.
Ooh.
Wes, tell us a little bit about chess. You used to teach chess, and tell us a little bit about that. What makes you like to teach chess, and what do you like about chess, Wes?
So I used to teach chess after school to elementary kids. I did this actually in college as well, but I want to talk about when I did it in high school. And Matt actually used to join me. And I specifically remember there was one kid in the class who I believe was in like 5th or 6th grade. And the album by Outkast, Speakerboxxx Love Below. And
yes, it was.
This kid knew every word of Caroline. Unprompted, I caught him like singing the lyrics to the song. I was like, "Why are you singing Outkast?" And he's just this tiny little kid. So we called him Outkast, and it was amazing. My other favorite thing that happened was that Ben's brother, Jake, actually came with me to this as well a couple times. And Jake is notoriously structured on rules. And one time bet a kid his fruit roll-up that he could beat him. And he bet like a 4th grader. And immediately after beating him, promptly grabbed the fruit roll-up and ate it in front of the kid's face, who got really sad. I yelled at Jake, and Jake said, "Kid shouldn't have bet."
I really can't wait to listen to the podcast and hear this story.
Okay.
Oh my God.
So, Emily, you were given candy corn pumpkins, and you needed to create a movie featuring candy corn pumpkins, but it must have Jim Carrey in it to tie it into number 23 at least a little bit today. So,
that's why Jim
let's
Carrey's
hear
in it.
your movie.
All right. So I would love to have a new Peanuts Halloween movie featuring the Great Pumpkin, played by the most amazing and serious actor out there, Jim Carrey. So your favorites are back for the newest live action movie, Linus and Sally, as they wait in the pumpkin patch for the Great Pumpkin to show up. And the Great Pumpkin is reminiscing about all of the kids that he gives candy corn pumpkins to, because he's also a pumpkin. Although Linus and Sally never see him show up because he's just a pumpkin, and the little candy corn pumpkins he's trying to give out are inside him all along. And he's just too small to notice. So he's very sad and depressed, and this is a very serious role for him about his doubts of being the Great Pumpkin. And then, of course, he disappoints Linus and Sally once again. And that is my movie. And then, yes, there's more fucking yes, Ben.
Thank you, Emily. Emily, what Halloween candy do you want to give Wesley?
And I give the one that I hate the most that I used to get in my trick-or-treat bag. Double Bubble.
Double Bubble.
So, Emily, will you tell the story about how you met Ben?
Oh my gosh, yes, I will, because I'm really excited about
You
this.
have 1 minute, though. Remember.
Okay, so we were in an arts retreat for school, and we were put together in a group for some reason. It was like some sort of artsy thing, and we were supposed to come up with a musical based off of something. I don't remember what, or sing a song based on something. And we decided to do pop music from the 80s or 70s or something. And there's this quiet guy just kind of standing there. And I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to sing. I'll sing and we can just try to sing. What song was it, Ben? I don't remember.
It was I Will Survive.
I Will Survive. And suddenly we get in front of everyone to present and sing. And there's this very tall man standing next to me singing in the highest falsetto I've heard in a long time. I will survive. And I like belting, 100% belting. And I had like stopped singing and I looked at him and I went, who the fuck is this? What school am I at? And I was like, yep, we can be friends. That's how I met Ben.
Wow.
Wes, let's hear your movie featuring Double Bubble starring or including Jim Carrey.
Okay, I'm going to be honest because this is going to work out anyway, but I totally forgot about the Jim Carrey part, but it works. My mind immediately went to one of my favorite video games of my youth. For Double Bubble, we are going to reboot Double Dragon, a movie about two brothers played by Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels. So Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels playing the karate-trained brothers who take on street thugs, but this time the moon is full and the thugs are werewolves. Normally equipped with lead pipes to take on the gang, the brothers realize that the only way to win is to switch these to silver. When hand-to-hand combat fails, they use what they have in their back pocket, which is Double Bubble, and they wrap it around the silver pipes and throw it at the werewolves, and that's about all I got.
That's about all I got.
I gotta say, when you started with video games, I thought for sure you were gonna do Bubble Bobble.
I have no idea what that is.
Which is like the little dinosaurs who blow bubbles.
Oh,
it was an old NES game, but
I think I know what you're talking about. No, as soon as you said Double Bubble, all I could think about was Double Dragon.
Guys, this was so close. But Ben, you're going to say who the loser is, right?
Yeah, first off, it's not easy to come up with an entire movie around an idea that includes a person in like a minute and a half. So you both did a really good job. In the end, this came down to the better incorporation of the candy into the movie idea. And because of that, our loser today is Wesley. So, Emily, you won. You got the 3 points. Wesley, we liked your idea. It seemed like it was more about the word association of Double Bubble, Double Dragon than it was incorporating that Double Bubble into your idea.
Yeah, I was getting there, and then I got waved back in before I could finish.
Yeah. Minute and a half.
Use the double bubble.
Yeah, totally.
I'm so excited because I am on the leaderboard and I am above Matt.
Hey, I helped you get there. So
I know, it's just really funny.
Awesome.
So it's Wesley, though.
Yeah,
No,
3
I
points to
know.
Emily, 2 to Wesley, 1 to myself, and 0 to Matt. So we'll add those to the leaderboard.
I'm doing it
we
now.
will head into next week's episode, which we are having Dylan back to, in honor of Halloween, do a Grindhouse double feature. So we're watching both Planet Terror by Robert Rodriguez and Death Proof by Quentin Tarantino, and included in all of that, the little trailers that ran before the movies that were made by some famous people as well. So it's going to be a fun one next week.
Awesome.
I've heard good things. Never seen it.
And I just want to say to anybody still listening out there, God bless you if you listen to the whole 23 episode, because like there's no
We
draw
love
with
you.
the movie. So, you guys are great.
And we did really not have much to say about the movie. So if you hung with us till the end, like you are a true fan, and we really appreciate you.
We send you all the social distant hugs in the world.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm excited for next week.
Should be fun. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.